Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Power Man Podcast. My name's Rory Paquette, and I know you know that, but I just like to remind myself every once in a while of how grateful I am to be sitting in this chair. Folks, when we made the move to 5 days, you showed up. You really did. It was absolutely wonderful. The liking, the sharing, the whole bit. It was great. Your support was unbelievable. Then when I pushed the envelope and made the move to 7 days, and I really expected somebody to throw me out of a third floor window. You folks came back even stronger. Our Sunday episodes are some of the best we've ever had, and really, really, really appreciate that from you folks. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I'm going to stop the mushy stuff now. We'll move on. You folks are great. And if you're not out there doing what you're doing, I can't do what I'm doing. And what I'm doing right now is getting ready to pay some bills. So you guys know what time it is. It's time for, that's right, take a sip of my preferred beverage. And there it is. Good stuff. Deep, dark, rich, bold, and beautiful, folks, just like my wife. You know exactly what we're drinking. It's Freedom Hill Coffee at Freedom Hill Coffee. Check them out on Instagram. They brew a mean bean. It's a fantastic cup of joe, and they do all the right things for all the right reasons, including supporting veterans. You all know how important veterans are to us here at the Power Man, and that's why we support them. If you're a veteran out there, folks, thank you for your service. We love you, and I love that you found a home here with us at Power Man. This is for you. Folks, check them out. Freedom Hill Coffee at Freedom Hill Coffee on Instagram. Tell them Power Man sent you. Let me get another sip of this so I can keep up with this young buck on the other side of the table from me. Good stuff. Here we go. All right. This guy has a list of accomplishments as long as my arm. He is the author of a whole bunch of different books. He's a podcaster, host of Call the Damn Leads podcast. He's a sales juggernaut. He's a weight loss warrior. He's a brand builder, and he managed to save his relationship, which I hope we get to hear about. I think he's got a fantastic story. He's a husband. The guy's amazing, and I cannot wait for him to start telling his story on our podcast today. Folks, please welcome to the show, Drewbie Wilson. How you doing, brother?
Rory, I am absolutely crushing the day. I am honored as all get out to be here with you and your audience. And I'm making a note to go and get some of that beautiful, bold, rich Freedom Hill coffee because I too am a fan of getting all fired up. And sounds like they got one mean bean.
Yeah, they do. I love that. Thank you. And tell them Power Man sent you, man.
I
It'll
will.
work out good for you. All right, man. We have a lot to unpack. You've a list of accomplishments that's crazy, and you're doing a lot, and I love it. You are certainly crushing the day before it crushes you. And tell everybody who is Drewbie Wilson. What are you about? And what brings you here today, brother?
Man, you kind of nailed it on the intro, so thank you for that. But I am a husband, I'm a father. I have been in sales my whole life, grew up in the streets selling anything and everything I could get my hands on. As I got older, I too met a beautiful young lady that ended up becoming my wife. We had a son, and I realized, hey, I don't want to end up dead or in prison. So I got into the more legitimate side of sales. Since then, I have really just leaned in heavy on helping others through service-based sales and focusing on how can I just provide the most value possible. I'm also a bit of a degenerate and tattooed meme lord across my knuckles because I have found a niche in using memes in my sales and marketing practice to really generate more authentic engagement. Because at the end of the day, I think that's what really matters. People want to feel authentic. They want to see the genuine side of working with other humans. And that's another reason I love being a guest on podcasts like yours because I get a chance to share some of the stuff that makes it real and then give people an opportunity to say, you know what? I like what that guy's got going on. Let me go check him out.
Nice. I love it. I love your story. You got a lot going on. I know that you're all about sales, and that's a huge thing for you. I mean, you can tell you have a multi-pronged business approach. Before we get into that, I really am curious, and I know that my listeners are, if you don't mind. Somehow you lost 100 pounds and saved a relationship. I mean, those are two things that a lot of us over on this side of the table can't imagine doing in both ways.
Man, I have actually lost 100 pounds twice in my life. So I lost it all, put it all back on, and then had to lose it again. So that journey of weight loss and physical fitness has been a big part of my story. And I'm going to just put this out there for all of your listeners. Body dysmorphia is a real thing. At my biggest, I was about 315 pounds, and I'm 6'1", 6'2", so like I'm a relatively tall guy. But at 315, I wasn't happy. And I went on a journey and I really dug deep and I got all the way down to 183 pounds. And you know what? I didn't like myself then either. And so I would encourage everyone not to worry as much about the number on the scale as much as they lean in on how they're feeling and ultimately are they able to do the things that they want to do in life. So I told you I've lost it twice. The first time I lost it, I was about 20, 21 years old, and I wasn't getting the attention from the people that I wanted, aka I wasn't getting the chicks.
Mm.
And so I realized, it doesn't matter how funny I am and how cool I might think I am. There's certain aspects of the visual side of life that are very, very important. So I went on that journey. I stopped drinking soda, got real, dialed in. And at the time, I had been working third shift. So anybody who's ever worked third shift knows that it really throws your whole life out of cycle. So I lost that weight. Then I got skinny, met the beautiful girl, started dating, going on, that journey. And you know how it is, man. You get comfortable, you start having more late night snacks, a couple extra cocktails, and all of a sudden, she's 6 months pregnant. I'm looking at the scale and I'm 285 pounds again. And shortly after my son was born, God love my wife for being able to say the hard stuff to me and get real. She came to me and she's like, listen, I love you and I appreciate our relationship and I know that you're here for us, but like all of this that you got going on ain't doing it for me. And it was a gut punch, to be honest with you. Like it hurt. And also it made me realize that I wasn't showing up as the man that I needed to be for our relationship. And bigger picture, like I didn't ever want to be the dad at the park who was sitting on the bench wheezing after 5 minutes of chasing his kid around.
Yeah.
So that journey of physical fitness has definitely been very, very important. And a lot of what I've learned in the gym parlays into everything else that I do in life because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And when you can get the mindset and the discipline to show up day after day and put in the work, that will start to bleed into every different area of your life.
Nice. Can you give me a couple examples of those? Things that you developed in the gym that you do continue to put in other parts of your life.
One of the biggest things that I really lean in on is volume, right? So from a sales perspective, output equals input. If you're not having conversations, if you're not shaking hands, kissing babies, doing all the things, it's going to be harder to make more of those sales. And you can't make a sale you don't ask for, and you can't ask for a sale if you don't show up. So that's definitely been a big part. And I've become what's some people consider to be a little bit crazy, but I'm more of an endurance athlete. Again, I've always been a little bit bigger for my size. I'm not a fast guy necessarily. So I love doing long endurance challenges that push my mindset, that force me to get out of my comfort zone. So I've ridden my bike 217 miles in one day. I've done obstacle course races. I've done a 50,000-meter row on the rower machine. I ran a marathon. So all the things that push you physically outside of your comfort zone, they're great for the mental reset to help you truly see that no matter what you come up against, if you just keep going, you will find success at the end of that journey.
I love that. And that's great advice in any field, like you said. So that's fantastic. How long did it take you, especially on the second part, when, your wife had that conversation with you and you said, all right, enough. This has to work this time. How long did that one take you?
Um, to go from 285 to 183, I want to say it was about a 7 to 8 months journey.
No
And
kidding.
it was really just like going hard in the gym, really dialing in on what I ate. But again, it got to a point where, when I lost all that weight, I would look at myself in the mirror and sure, I was skinny, but the people who I was around would come up to me and be like, bro, you're looking like a string bean. Like, you don't have that same authority that you had when you were a little more filled out. And so right now I probably float anywhere between 220 and 230 depending on how many ice cream cones I eat in the evening because the one thing that I learned is that
Yeah.
to continue to maintain that also means sacrificing certain things in life that we get joy out of. And ultimately, man, I know I'm here for as long a time as possible, and also I want to be here for a good time. And so I try to give a good balance of enjoying the fruits of our life, having the things, doing the things, enjoying the meals, because meals were always a thing in my family that was kind of what brought us together
Yeah.
and also realizing that moderation is the key, right? You can have the ice cream cone, you can do the thing, you can have the steak, you can eat all that as long as you're doing it in moderation. And that kind of is a big piece of like life in general. So we'll probably get into talking about some of the frameworks that I use, but you can have all the things that you want so long as you're willing to be disciplined to get there and then to maintain them.
Nice. Now, when you said that you managed to save your relationship sort of against all odds, was that due to the weight and that type of thing, or was there something else that was happening?
Man, it was a combination. So I, when I started that weight loss journey, personal development became a big part. Like I remember waking up one morning and like I had a job at the time as an insurance agent, and I didn't have to be to the office until about 8 o'clock. But I would wake up and start rolling and tossing and turning at like 5:30 every day, and I just smash the snooze button and I just ignore it. But one morning I told my wife, I was like, I'm just gonna get up and start going for a walk. Because like clearly my body's trying to tell me I need to do something, and staying in bed for an extra hour and a half ain't it. So I would get up and I would go walk and I would listen to podcasts like this. I was big on Jim Rohn and Eric Thomas, and YouTube has these compilations of all those badass speeches. Like David Goggins is on there now. So like there's that motivational side that you can find as long as you're willing to look for it. And so that's what I did. A 5K a day was my goal. If I could go and walk a 5K, which is 3.2 miles or whatever it is, it would take me 45 to 60 minutes depending on how lazy I was. I knew that I could just lean in on that and it would keep the doctor away, right? 5K a day keeps the doctor away. And as I went deep on that personal development journey, a lot of opportunities started showing up. I got a call from someone in Texas that had a tech startup for the software I was using, and they're like, "Hey man, you're clearly good at what you do. I need someone like you on my team. Will you come and be a part of it?" So I was like, well, 5.5 years as an insurance producer, like all of a sudden someone else is giving me an opportunity. I'm gonna go for it. And so I did. And I was flying back and forth from Ohio to Texas every other week for about 6 months. And
Oh,
anyone who's ever had to travel and be away from their wife, especially when there's a newborn or a young
hmm.
child in the house, they realize the strain
Oh,
that goes into that relationship. And, to be honest with you, Rory, I mean, I was leaving my wife and flying down and hanging out with multimillionaires and women with big fake breasts and all kinds of dolled up fancy purses and shoes. And so, there was a bit of a disconnect between my wife and I. And at first, she wasn't as all in on the personal development side as I was. And 6 months into that new job, I told her, "Hey, we're selling our home, and I'm getting us out of everything that we've ever known here in this beautiful town, and I'm moving us to Dallas, Texas." And I didn't really give her a choice. I kind of just told her this is what was happening. And she went along with it, and we moved to Dallas. And, for that first 3, 4, 5 months, it was rough. She didn't want to be there. She missed being at home. And I was so dead focused on like building this amazing future and this legacy that in December of 2019, at about 11 o'clock on New Year or Christmas Eve, she slapped me in the face and woke me up and handed me her wedding ring back. And she
oh,
said, "Listen, I love you and I will always support you because you're my, husband and the father to my child, but right now you need to make a choice. Either you're married to me or you're married to the success that you want to build." And that hurt. Because like I said, it was Christmas Eve. Like we've got presents in there and we woke up in the morning and like the tension was thick enough that you would have needed a chainsaw to cut through it.
yeah,
And ultimately what it led to me realizing is that while I was in my own mind, like seeing this amazing future that I was building, and I was very selfish in that I'm thinking, I retired you. You don't have to work anymore. We're making more money than we've ever had. We've got all these amazing things. None of that matters. Your wife just wants to be with you because she loves you. And for me, what I started realizing is that it didn't matter how much that future I was building in my mind was like awesome. If I wasn't present when I was in the room or I was staring at my phone and doing things and chuckling and giggling because like I'm just making memes and having fun building this business, but she's on the other side of the room looking at it going, well, who's he talking to? What's making him giggle so much? Because I wasn't communicating with her. I was
yeah,
just focused on, listen, I'm going to build this life and we're going to have it whether you like it or not. And ultimately, you can drag someone along behind you, but it's way, way better, Rory, when you're both rowing the boat in the same direction. And that was really for me where I started dialing in on, your time is the most valuable thing that you have. We can all make more money. Like money is a whole other conversation around like the energy and the mindset behind it, but time, energy, and effort are the only finite resources that exist, and how we invest them truly matters. And there was a point where I said, I need to be more disciplined with my time because, yeah, I'm disciplined at the gym and I'm disciplined when I'm working, but I need to be disciplined and spend time with them, my
Yeah.
wife and my son, and the people who are truly there for me, whether or not any of this other stuff exists. They were there for me from the start, and they're going to be there for me in the end, so long as I'm willing to return that energy and that focus. And that was the start of a very long journey. And, we've been married now 10 going on 11 years. We've been together for over 15. And I'm not going to say it's perfect, but because we're communicative and we're both rowing the boat in the same direction, our lives are a million times better than they were in that season.
Well, I mean, I'm glad to hear that, and congratulations on being married as long as you have, and on
Thank you.
saving the whole thing. That's not an easy switch. I mean, especially
No.
for someone who was going all in, 24/7, absolutely killing it. And it's funny because as men, we think we're doing the right thing when we're doing that because that's our job is to protect, provide, and lead. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do. And so you feel like you're doing the right thing, and then you get slapped in the face on Christmas Eve. So clearly,
Ugh.
you reacted to that in some sort of a favorable way and started making some changes. I mean, there's a story there, I'm sure. How do you rescue the marriage and how do you change the business when that's what you know and that's what you've been doing for years and years and years?
It was a combination of a couple things. So when I started making the decision to change out of the insurance world and get more into the personal development side, the coaching, the consulting that we do now, I had been an insurance producer. I had gone to the boss and I was like, "Hey man, listen, like I love you and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here because I was a drug dealing degenerate when you met me and you put me at an office and gave me a legitimate chance to be somebody. However, I'm married. We just bought a house. I've got this kid, and I'm making $36,000 a year. Like, what do
Mhm.
I got to do to make 100 grand? Because most sales professionals, like when you get into the business, the goal is like, hey, how do I make six figures?
Right.
Because everybody thinks six figures is like that first number that sets you to freedom. Now,
Yeah.
many, many years ago, maybe that was the case. These days, six figures don't go very far, unfortunately. But I remember thinking to myself, well, I'm great at sales. All I need to do is have more leads. If I had more leads, I'd talk to more people, I'd make more sales, I'd make more money, right? It's just a math problem. So I started learning marketing and pay-per-click advertising and kind of going down that path. And at one point, a wonderful woman named Nancy called me and she's like, listen, I see that you're having some success with this software that we both use. You're getting a shout out from the owner in this Facebook community. How much for an hour of your time to get on a call and help me through some of this? Now, Rory, one of the most humbling questions I've ever been asked, and a story I will tell for the rest of my life, because I'm sitting there doing the math of, well, I make, $15 an hour base, plus if I think about commissions, if I'm making 3 grand a month, if I was working in a factory, they'd give me time and a half or double time. And so, in my head, I'm like trying to do this math, and she's just sitting over on the other line, like probably thinking, what the hell is this guy doing? and and I came back with this big bold. I'm like, how about $50? And she kind of chuckled and she's like, well, I was gonna give you 75. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds great, like perfect, let's do that. And so we set it up later the week. I get on the call, I have a conversation. It's very, very casual, it's fun. I'm just like pouring out as much as I can into this lady, thinking like I've got to do a great job, like $75, like I'm trying to earn this money. We get off the phone. She sends me a Venmo for $75, and it was just like, I remember screenshotting it and sending it to my wife and being like, hey babe, all I got to do is figure out how to do this like a couple times a day or like even a few times a week, and we're going to be like set. This is going to be awesome. And so that was really where for me understanding the value of time kind of came to existence. And what I teach people now is that like you have to know that number. Because if time, energy, and effort are the finite resources, your value per hour, you have two choices. You can either work twice as much, or you can develop your skill set and your ability to be someone in the marketplace so that your time is more valuable to other people. And so like the quick math that I share with anyone who's listening to this is like, think about all the money you made last year. Your main job, maybe you got a side hustle selling Freedom Coffee because it's awesome. Maybe you're taking pictures of your piggies and you're selling them on the internet. Like whatever. I'm not judging. I'm just saying if you're putting in the time, energy, and effort to make money, you got to add all of that up. And then if you were an average human, which if you're here listening to this amazing podcast, you're not average. You're above average and you're putting in the work to grow and develop. But if you were average, let's just say you'd work 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, and you'd take a 2 week vacation, paid or unpaid. Everybody's a little different, but that's 2,000 hours. So the quick math is if you made $100,000 last year and you worked 2,000 hours because you were average, which 90% of entrepreneurs aren't average. We quit the 40-hour job to work 80 hours a week, but just like run with me here, right? If you were average, you'd work 2,000 hours. That means your time's worth $50 an hour. To a guy like me who grew up in the streets and thought like, hey, grunt labor's $10 an hour, and the guys working in a factory right now making 30, $40 an hour, they're like king shit. They're awesome. They're set for life. $50 an hour is a lot of money. But there's some of you listening to this right now that were like, man, if I only made $50 an hour, I don't know how I'd keep the lights on. I don't know how we'd keep this business rolling. But the math is the math. And so what you have to ask yourself is if I put on a hood and I knock on your door and I'm like, listen, Roy, I really like you, bub, but my name is actually Death, and you have 24 hours left to live. Guess what? Here's a check for $50. I need you for the next hour. What kind of response are you likely going to give me, bud?
Wow. Like, no way. Absolutely
It's
not.
not going to be good.
Not worth it.
Yeah, absolutely not. There's maybe some
Yeah.
expletives. There's some things that you're going to say there and realize like I would not trade one of the last 24 hours of my life for that dollar amount. However, we can all agree that money is a tool and a resource that we need in order to provide the things that we want in life, whether it's a roof over our head, food on the table, the material stuff for our wives and kids and all the things and people that we care about. Like we all agree to that. So the question is, what would you trade that hour for? Because there's a number. Maybe it's $1 million, maybe it's $10 million. Like there's a number there where you'd go, you know what, man? For that amount of money, you do whatever you got to do for the next hour. Because like I know that will set my family up for life. If I only got 24 left, I need to make sure that I'm providing for them first. So we all agree to that. The scary part is like we don't know how much time we have. The average male only lives to about 76, maybe 77 years old. A couple weeks ago, I turned 38, which means that more than half of my life is gone, if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
But no one can guarantee how much time you're going to have left on this earth. So to know that so many men and women, but I know primarily men listen to this, are out there wasting their time and investing into the things that aren't going to get them the life and the turnout that they want, that's scary to me. And that's an important conversation that I think everybody should not only be having with themselves, but the people around them. The people in their life that care need to understand that time, energy, and effort are valuable. And it doesn't make sense to waste them. And so that to me was really kind of the start of this big shift in my life and a big part of the conversation that I like to share with people who are willing to hear it. Because ultimately, when you start getting control of your time and being disciplined with it, it's what allows you to create the life that you want to live.
That's an unbelievable perspective to throw out there. The guy in the hood. If it's your last hour, what's it worth? That's wow. That's amazing. So you adopt this perspective. You get this phone call. You actually have to answer that question, which most of us don't have to answer. So, but you determine that. Now, at first you said $50, right? So how does that play into? I
Correct.
mean, you've built an empire here with what you're doing, and I love what you're doing. But how do you then leave insurance, take that hourly rate that you just figured out, and start building what you have now?
So it goes to a lot of there's a whole lot of story, and obviously I've written several books. So if you guys want the whole, like, the too long didn't read version, is I got really serious about time. But
Okay.
if you want to, go check out my books. I mean, I've shared a lot of the stories and the frameworks, but the number one thing is the 4 6s framework. So we all know there's 24 hours in a day. I don't think anybody here is a flat earther or anything weird like that, right? Like, but we can all kind of agree there's 24 hours in a day. To me, I've realized that there's 4 areas of life that are super duper important. Rest and recovery is number one because, like, at the end of the day, man, I need my beauty sleep. I know that if I work out too hard and I don't rest, I'm just going to hurt myself, which is going to cause issues in the other areas. But, like, sleep, rest, and recovery is number one. Number two is my family. And for most people, that's it. The legacy, the people in their life that they care about the most. Then we have business because I don't have FU money yet to where I can just do whatever I want whenever I want. Like, I'm working towards it, but I don't got it yet, so I still got to show up every day. Then what's interesting is we put ourselves last on the list. And that's why so many men, and again, women, but men, they get burnout, they get out of shape, they're unhappy, they're depressed, they are unfulfilled. And what's crazy is, like, if you've ever flown on an airplane, what's the first thing they tell you in the safety briefing? You got to put your own oxygen mask on first, because if you don't, you're literally becoming a burden to everyone who's around you. And so it's interesting to me to see all of these folks that are out there talking about how much they pour out for their family and how hard they work, but they're not working on themselves first. And so to me, it's this. You got 4 areas of life that are important. You got 24 hours in a day to live a quote balanced life, which balanced means zero, and nobody wants to be a zero, but we all know balance is a big topic of conversation. You can spend 6 hours in each of those categories every day. And I'm a young buck, so I can survive on 6 hours of sleep. That may not be a forever thing, but, like, I know right now I can survive on 6 hours of sleep as long as it's intentional and that I'm getting good quality sleep. From there, I got 6 hours for me, I got 6 hours for my business, and I got 6 hours for the people in my life that matter the most. And where people mess up, and what I did honestly to start, is I built the business, and then I built me, and then I tried to fit my family in betweenst everything else. And that's what caused all those issues. That's what led me to getting slapped in the face and almost losing the thing that matters most to me. So when I started getting more serious and realizing, okay, well, if I sleep for 6 hours and I wake up at 4 a.m., I read, I pray, I meditate, and then I go to the gym because I know I've got to do that first, or else it's just not happening. Like, I'll make every excuse in the book as to why I can't go to the gym in the evening. So I got to get that done first. And then I got to get home and I got to make sure that I spend the morning with my family, making sure that we together are deciding what our day is going to look like. What's important, what needs to happen. And being someone whose dad wasn't in his life and whose mom would have to be out the door before I typically was up going to school, like, I didn't get to have family breakfast.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we didn't have family dinners either. So those are important to me. So I put those on the calendar first. Those are things that are a priority. And then I fill in the rest of the time with the work and the things that I know are going to progress me to that point where I can provide the life that I want for my family. And so, like, my calendar is my boss, Rory. Every day I look at it and it tells me all the things that are a priority, that are a non-negotiable, and then I'm very intentional about putting the things on there that I also want to do in life. Because what's crazy is when I told my wife I was going to start living this schedule, she's like, "Well, we're your family. We don't go on the calendar." And you don't just pencil us in. And I was like, well, no, no, babe, you don't understand. Like, if it's on the calendar, it is a priority to me. That's the stuff that I'm going to do. And it was a little bit of a pushback at first. And a lot of people will say, well, if you just fill your calendar, that's not real freedom. Well, yeah, it is. Because I decide what goes on that calendar.
Right.
And if I want to go and play golf, or if I want to ride my bike 100 miles, or if I want to just hang out and veg for a little bit so that I can clear my mind, I can do that. So long as everything else on that calendar is providing me the opportunity to do so. And so the 4 6s strategy is that. Break down the things that you want in life into those 4 categories. Put the non-negotiables first. Put the things that you know you have to get done second, and then put some of the things that you want to do on there too. Because the only way to get better and to grow is to actually go and do the things that you want out of life. And so, like, if you're in a job right now and you know that maybe you want to get into a new field or you want to spend more time on a hobby, start small, 30 minutes a day. It's crazy how 30 minutes a day over a year adds up to a lot of time invested in the thing that you want, the skill sets that you want to develop, and the ability to make that decision to say, you know what? I'm at a point where I can actually shift and do the thing that I want to do, not just the things that I have to do.
I love that, man. I mean, that is freedom. That's taking back control of your life and of your calendar. And you're right. People don't understand that. But I mean, I love what you're doing. You came up with this on your own in terms of how to read, the four sixes, for instance. You created that.
I coined the four sixes. There's a number of different guys out there that have different versions of it and talk about, the
Sure.
just building the time management and stuff. But to me, this is my version. There's a book out there that I highly recommend everyone read. It's called Steal Like an Artist. It's by Austin Kleon. I think it's Kleon. And
Okay.
in that book, essentially what he talks about is there's really no new ideas in this world. Everything is an amalgamation of something that someone else has talked about or done. And, ultimately, if you're in the personal development space, there's like 5 or 6 books that everybody reads: Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, the 48 Laws of Power. Like, there's some very simple frameworks that come from a lot of those. And what we all do is basically take what we like from each one, get rid of the stuff that we don't like or don't care about, and that's what makes us unique. So
Yeah.
it's like if you were just doing the same thing as Joe Blow, well, you're always going to be second best to Joe Blow because you're waiting for him to set the pace. But if you take a little bit from Joe and you grab a little bit from Rory and you hear something I say and you like it and you're like, hey, I'm going to add that. Maybe you hear something that you're like, I'm not going to do that though. That's okay. Because your job on this planet is to be the most unique version of you possible. And the only way to do that is to learn from a lot of different people that you see value in, right? So I had some mentors that were really, really great in business, but their personal relationships kind of sucked. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to take the business stuff and just get rid of how they treat their family because that's not how I want to live. And there's some men in my life that are very, very spiritual. And it's like, all right, well, I'm into that, but they don't necessarily have the money and the success that I want either. So it's like, all right, well, I'm going to take a little bit of the spiritual side and I'm going to take some of that and blend it with mine. And then there's some people that have absolutely amazing relationships, but they don't ever get to do any of the things that they want in life and they sacrifice their growth for everybody else. I don't necessarily want that either. So I steal a little bit from each of the people that I like. I get rid of the stuff that I don't, and I just lean in on the things that allow me to have the life that I want.
Nice. Nice. So somewhere along the way here, you've decided to create your own thing, like you've been just describing, and you get out of insurance and you start building your own thing. Is that where we go? And is that where Call the Damn Leads comes from?
So insurance world, I'm building this lead generation. I'm learning marketing. I'm having some success. I get a call from a couple guys. They're like, "Hey man, you just doubled your production in like a month and a half. You were already the top guy. What are you doing and is it legal?" I'm like, "Well, turns out I learned this marketing stuff and I can show you how to do it all, blah blah blah." And they're like, "I don't have time for that. How much for me to pay you to just set it up and run it for me?" And this was really where I started the entrepreneurship journey because
Uh,
Rory, in one weekend, I made $10,000 from setting up these marketing campaigns for guys. And I'm like, I'm in the wrong business. Like, I've never made 10 grand in a month in my life. I just made it in a weekend. And so I started a marketing company and got really into, doing a great job there. Unfortunately, though, I can get you all the leads that I want. You still have to pick up the phone and call them. You still have to do the work on your side as the client. And this is where the churn and burn of the marketing business came in because I could generate leads, but if they didn't call them, they'd call me and just bitch and complain like, "Oh, this doesn't work and I'm going to need a refund and blah, blah, blah." And one client in particular, real estate agent out of Utah, he's like, "Hey man, I'm going to need a refund. This doesn't work." And I'm looking at it going, "Well, we generated you 100 leads. I don't understand like what happened." He's like, "I just didn't work." So I picked up the phone and started calling these leads. And I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" Set 6 appointments and ended up getting a signed, ready to go contract on a property in Utah. I'm not in real estate, had never done anything other than buy my first house, and realized I was like, These guys just aren't doing the work. And so I called him and I'm like, hey man, I don't know what's going on, but you need to call the damn leads. Like you're clearly just not doing the work. So here's your refund. Here's all this data. Don't ever call me again, but call your damn leads. And at the time I laughed and I reached out to my buddies in the marketing world and I'm like, I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt someday and I'm gonna sell it because like that's the answer to all the money problems. Just call the damn leads. And God has a funny way of showing us the light and then also giving us a choice. And so right around that same time is when I got a call from the guy in Texas, the guy I worked for at the tech startup. And he's like, hey man, I want you to come and work with me. I think we can do some amazing things together. So I actually put Call the Damn Leads on the back burner for 5 years while I flew to Texas and built this big business with the tech startup, put millions and millions of dollars in their pocket, built a multi six-figure residual until December of 2023 when they decided that they wanted to make some changes because, CFO got in the ear, somebody got in the ear of the owner and was like, hey man, we're paying this guy like $350,000 a year for work that he did years ago. Like, we can't keep doing that.
Oh
And
man,
so they decided that they wanted to take away my book of business and make me go back to doing commission only sales. And I said, you know what, God, I hear you. This is my opportunity to go and make Call the Damn Leads something that can really represent who I am and what I've become in this journey. And I couldn't be where I am had I not had that 5 years of growth and learning. But God gave me an opportunity. He said, hey, man, if you want it, go get it. And so in January or December of 2023, 2 weeks before Christmas, I had a mutual conversation with the tech startup and we went our separate ways. And on January 1st of 2024, Call the Damn Leads was officially born as a real company and a real business. And we've been all in on it since then. We've helped thousands of business owners and entrepreneurs all across the world. I've sold a little over 5,000 copies of my books between all the different versions that we have. And it really just became a thing where I'm going to take all the stuff that I learned, I'm going to continue to share it with the community, and I'm going to do it in a way that will help them see what they're capable of as well.
wow. I mean, wow, seriously, the whole thing.
It's been
To
a
all of
wild
it.
journey, Roy. Like there's so much to it, but it's been a great time, man.
I do love that your faith is at the center of it all, and you're letting God lead you. I think that's admirable, especially for a young guy like you. I mean, you don't hear that often.
I didn't have it for a long time, but with all the blessings that we've gotten in our life and our family, I know God is the only reason that any of it has happened. And so I try not to be like a Bible thumper or anything like that, but I also know that leaning in on the faith, the more I lean in on it, the more the light shines. And so if there's anyone out there who's kind of been a little wishy-washy, man, give it a shot. You never know what's possible.
Love that. Absolutely love that. It's really cool because there's no way we can get all aspects of all your businesses and all your stories into one podcast. And luckily, I have three different podcasts. So I'm going to need to have you on the other two to
Would love
finish
that.
telling different aspects of the story. So for right now, on this one, in the interest of time, the business you have now, Call the Damn Leads. All right. Who are you working with? What do you offer to those folks? How does that work?
Yes, so we work with sales professionals and small to medium sized businesses, typically folks that are in that, wanting to make their first six figures or running a small seven-figure business and trying to scale a team. We help them get dialed in on the systems, the processes, and the routines that create sustainable success. Because everyone's version of success is a little bit different. Roy, like mine and yours is a little different. And
Sure.
if you were to go back in time to the day we were born and go to the operating room or the delivery room and ask our parents, like, hey, when they get older, what are they going to be doing that makes them successful? It would be drastically different than where we are right now.
Oh
So
yeah.
I encourage everyone to get clear on like what is your version of success? And then we will help you build the systems, processes, and routines to make it a reality and a sustainable reality. Because again, I was making a lot of money, but I almost lost my family because I wasn't being efficient and effective in all areas of life. So, personally and professionally, we blend them together to create the machine that allows you to have the success that you want.
Nice. Okay. And so those you're working with businesses then, in terms of that.
Correct.
Now, in terms of those businesses, do you skew more towards entrepreneurs or more towards, like existing, corporations, things like that?
Both, honestly, we have
Excellent.
frameworks that apply in both sides of it. I know that there's really two different kinds of individual. There's the guy that just wants to be the Lone Ranger, that go out and make the money and do the things and then just be able to cut out and go and live their life afterwards. Like, I'm here for that. I support that. We can help you make that a reality so that you can make more money and have the time and effectiveness to live the life that you want to live. And then there's the folks that are called to lead, that want to create opportunity for others, that want to be able to scale a business so that it makes them money and also provides opportunities for them to pour into their community and to their people. And so we work with both. How we deliver on it is a little bit different, obviously, because each situation is slightly different. But we know that whether you're a solo producer trying to grow or a small team trying to get better, we've got some things that can help.
Nice. Nice. I love the logo. I love the call the damn leads, thing. I checked out your website. You do sell merch for this stuff too. So I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've got the fun tchotchkes, the reminders. We got wristbands, hats, t-shirts, keychains, stickers, all the little things that you can throw on your team's desk as a reminder, like, hey, the answer to your money problems is this right here. Just call the damn leads. So we try to make it fun and lighthearted as much as it is a very serious conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Well, I love what you're doing. I love the story behind it, and
Thank you.
the fact that it's about God, it's about your family. I mean, those are things that are going to resonate deeply with folks who hear this story too. So I appreciate you sharing that here. As we kind of wrap up this episode of you and I talking about what's going on in your life, um, I want to give you the floor here because I know there's a lot of stuff that we covered, but there's a lot we didn't. In terms of what we covered here today, and the guys you're talking to today. Is there anything I didn't ask you about? Is there anything that you want to kind of drive home for those guys, and who you're talking to? Maybe a nugget leave behind, anything like that. I'm going to give you the floor, and I don't think you're going to have any trouble closing this up yourself. I'm going to sit back and watch and just applaud. So the floor is yours, brother.
Rory, I can't thank you enough for the opportunity. And for those of you that are still here listening to this, I want you to know how grateful I am because you've heard me talk about it. Your time, your energy, your effort, the most finite resources that exist in your life. So if you've invested a little bit of that with us today, like, we are truly humbled and honored and grateful. And I think we've hit on a lot of the points, but what I really want to encourage the listener to remember is that what I say doesn't matter as much as how you feel and how you take action with the knowledge that I've imparted on you today. Because we've all met those guys and those gals that just go to every event and they read every book and they get every course and they're still in the same spot they were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Information is useless without action. If you want to change your life, it starts with changing the things that you're doing, the decisions you're making, the actions you're taking, and the choices that you make. And so, what I want you to really think about, and kind of your homework, if you will, to be a powerful man, is to get clear on what you want out of life, to start doing the math of what your time is worth, and then start tracking where you're spending it. Because I promise you, if you take the next 7 days and you put an alarm in your phone for every hour on the hour, and you force yourself to write down everything that you did for that last hour, and then making a note on if it was productive or if it was leading you closer to what you want out of life, by day 2 or 3, you're going to be cursing my name. But that guy, like, I can't believe it. You're welcome in advance, because most people will realize they're wasting a lot of time on the things that aren't getting them what they want. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be a super psycho disciple of, like, no time wasted and every minute. Like, listen, I'm not perfect. However, I'm intentional. And I'm very self-aware that when I start going down the path of things like doom scrolling or 7 episodes into a Netflix binge, like, those aren't getting me what I want out of life.
Yeah.
And so if you're here listening, I encourage you, write it down, make it clear, get very, very intentional with where you're spending your time and then tracking what the return on that investment is, because what gets measured gets improved. And if you do all of those things, I promise you that in the next 30, 60, 90 days, you're going to see a market improvement upon every area of your life, both personally and professionally. And I want you to send me a message. Curse me out if you gotta, but I want to hear what happens. I want you to be able to say, hey, man, I took it seriously. I did the time study. I got clear on what my time is worth. And I started investing in the things that matter to me most, whether it's your business, your family, better rest and recovery. Uh, if you're only sleeping 6 hours, go get some of that Freedom Hill coffee. Let it wake you up in the morning, right? Get excited about it. But more than anything, what I'd really, really, really ask of you, like the biggest favor that I could ask, if you got some value out of this show today in any sense of the word, will you share it on social media? Will you tag us? Will you let us know that you spent some time with us today and it was very, very powerful to you? Or even if you don't want to share it on social media, will you send it to one or two guys that you know that it might bring some value to? Like that's the kind of stuff that lets me and Rory know that our time invested pouring into this community was worth it. If it's just one person who hears this and changes their life, the butterfly effect on their family and the families that they work with will be unmistakable. But if you will share this, whether it's on social or with one person that you know it will help, that will make our time invested in it worth it. And it will mean the world to me and Rory. And then from there, if you want to know more about me, go to the website, callthedamnleads.com, check out our podcast, do all the things, right? Like, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to sell you on you living the life that you want to live by making new decisions and taking new actions. And if you'll do that, I know at the end of the day, God's going to bless me with more than I can handle, and the abundance will be real in both of our lives.
I don't think I could have possibly wrapped up better than that, man. That was absolutely wonderful. How do they reach you? If you want them to contact you, how do they do that?
Go to callthedamnleads.com, order one of my books, grab some swag. If you buy from me, I'm going to call you because we practice what we preach over here. We're going to have a genuine conversation. We're going to learn a little bit more about what you have going on. If you don't want to buy anything, just send me a message on social media. Facebook at Call the Damn Leads, Instagram at Call the Damn Leads. I mean, we're on every platform. Our brand is very congruent. So if you just search Call the Damn Leads, you'll find us somewhere.
Nice. Perfect. All that'll be in the show notes too, but I love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Husband, father, author, podcaster, Drewbie Wilson. Brother, thank you so much. You brought some fire today to everybody who was listening, and I can't thank you enough. It was a fantastic story and great advice for everybody.
I'm glad the technology let us get through this thing unhindered.
Me too. Me too. It was a chore, but we did it. All right. Folks, that's been another absolutely fantastic episode of the Power Man podcast. And the reason that we bring powerful men like this on here with powerful messages for you is because we're united in your quest to reclaim your power. Folks, we want you to be a better provider, a better protector, a better leader tomorrow than you are today. We're behind you in trying to become a better father, better husband, a better man tomorrow than you are today. And the reason that we want that for you is because you have value. You matter and you're worth it. And at some point, you just have to believe it. Until next time.
Amen.